How many times have you been told, do not use a blender when you make pesto? I say that too, but I do use blender when I make pesto, and many chefs around the world use blenders when you make pesto. So why do people tell you not to use a blender? Let's talk about it in this video so you learn how to use a blender to make a good pesto. So what makes a bad pesto? Is it the basil? Is it the cheese? Is it the technology that we use? We can work with technology, okay? We can do it, but we have to do it the proper way. The blender is a fantastic machine, and I love using it when I make sauces. Blending my sauces is one of the best things I've done in my life, that I do in my life, because it really combines the flavors very well, and the pasta absorbs the sauce so much better. If I tell this to my nonna, she won't agree. But thanks to the blender technology, I believe we can take our sauce to the next level. For pesto, many people in the Ligurian region, where the pesto is from, will tell you mortar and pesto is the only technology you use to make pesto. When you come to pesto like Genovese, the blender, yes, is a killer. It can kill it. It will ruin the basil. It will burn it. But today, I'm debunking the pesto myth. Why you should never use a blender unless you do this. I'm gonna tell you the only way to get a bright green, creamy, authentic taste. So pesto is one of the world's most beautiful sauces. Simple, basil, pine nuts, cheese, garlic, oil, but the texture and that vibrant color, it's all about the method. Yeah, the mortar and pesto, we know is the right thing to use. You do it. But can you imagine restaurants using mortar and pesto? And they cook for 100, 200, 300 people a day? It's impossible. It's too hard, okay? So the blender has to be used in restaurants. You can also use it at home. But many times, you have made a huge mistake with the blender. So I tell you, do not use the blender for pesto unless you do this. When you put your beautiful, delicate basil leaves into the blender, two terrible things happen. Heat is generated. So these fast metal blades spin so quickly, they create frictions and heat. Basil is extremely delicate, and heat is the enemy. Number two is the oxidation and bitterness. The heat and the rough, fast chopping action break the basil leaves and release chlorophyll too quickly. The result, your pesto turns the ugly, dark, muddy green color, almost brown. And the worst of all, it develops a bitter metallic taste. You lose all the freshness. The blades cut the greens, they don't crush them. So this is not a pesto Genovese. It's a basil smoothie gone wrong. The mortar and pesto is the right way because of the low temperatures. So when you use the wooden or marble pesto, you're using slow controlled pressure. The pesto doesn't cut it, it crushes it. So it's a gentle grinding motion, perfectly releases the essential oils from the basil and the nuts slowly. It's a perfect emulsion. The slow crushing process allows the oils to mix gradually with the cheeses and the oil, creating that beautiful, thick, creamy, vibrant emulsion that separates the masterpiece from the mistake. So how do we use the Vincenzo's plate secret to blend the basil? I'm going to tell you now. We can use the blender, but this is a two-step process. Step number one, we need to build the base. I usually start with extra virgin olive oil and the garlic, means the garlic, then I add the nuts, and then I add the cheese, okay? So yes, it's one step, but it's actually 4 steps, because you put ingredients one at a time. These are the ingredients that need the most power. So they need to break down and create the rich, creamy foundation. The thing you need to keep in mind, you might need to use a lot of extra virgin olive oil, okay? So be generous with the extra virgin olive oil, because that is what helps to create this creamy paste. Blend this until it's smooth. The heat is working on the nuts and the cheese, which is fine. The base is ready. So now it's time for the magic ingredient. The step number 2 is the 10-second basil attack. When I say attack, you don't want to ruin the basil. It has to be a 10 seconds blending process, but there is a way of doing it. We are not blending for texture now. The texture is done. We are blending only to chop the basil quickly. We are using the pulse mode, if you can use it. The 10-second rule, you must stop before the heat can build up. If you cannot use the pulse mode, I've seen chefs using, this is a smart technique, some ice to go with the basil, okay? You do 10 seconds with ice, that basil stays cold, it doesn't have time to heat up. but that's maybe can be a little bit more difficult. So if you have pulse mode, use it. So now it's been 10 seconds, stop. The heat has no time to travel up and kill the base. So look at this beautiful pesto that I made, right? The color is vibrant green. The texture is creamy because we built the base first. And the taste is fresh, it's sharp, it's perfect. The basil did not cook. We cheated the blender and we won. This is my secret to pesto when I am in a hurry. You get the speed of the blender and the flavor of the mortar. Of course, when you do it by hand, everything is better. But we have technology. If we use the technology the right way, we can do it. I have a beautiful pizza dough over here. It does the job for me in like less than 10 minutes. Yes, I love to use my hands, but this is becoming one of my best friends because now every weekend, hassle-free, I make my beautiful pizza dough. And its consistency, it's there. It's always good. It's always the same. So the next time you use a blender, just remember, base first, basil last. And pulse mode for 10 seconds. If you don't have pulse mode, do it 10 seconds with a few cubes of ice. So the ice can keep the basil cold and stop the heat to go up. This is a trick, but you will taste the difference. Because if you blend the basil for too long, it's going to become dark and the flavor is going to be destroyed. At least, probably, I would say on top of my head, 70 to 80% of the basil will die, if no more. With this blender technique, it's not going to be 100% like the mortar and pesto, but it's going to be as close as possible to that. So do you like this idea? Give it a try and let me know in the comment below. So what other traditional recipes do you think we need to use modern cheating techniques? Okay. Now this is not a shortcut that is going to destroy your dish. It's a shortcut that many chefs have been using in restaurants for many years to make large batches of this. Okay. So it works. Please don't forget the Vincenzo's Plate cookbook is now available for pre-order. Please, it's the first Vincenzo's Plate cookbook ever. We have recipes from generations to generations, okay? There are simple recipes, there are family recipes that you want to keep, that you want to learn, right? So please get it wherever you are in the world. You can use Amazon. There are more bookshops selling it in Australia, America, and worldwide. So please get it and get a piece of Vincenzo's Plate into your house. We are so excited. It's a very different book. My wife Suzanne wrote the book. So the book is a point of view of living with me, with my family, sharing our recipes. So the book is told in a different way that's never been done before. So you definitely want to get a copy of it. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I will see you in the next Vincenzo's Plate video recipe. E ora si mangia Vincenzo's Plate.